also for the at least intermediate athlete or client that are proficient in the components of the combination exercise. Huh? Coffee jumps. Coffee jumps. Yeah. Okay. The last thing we're going to talk about is not really a technique per se, but it's more of a principle, and it's a principle of periodization. Periodization is defined as a division of a longer period of training into periods. If you Google periodization, you'll get history books and sport books. So it's about a division into periods. Each of those periods have different goals and different contents of training, and they're sequenced in a systematic way. One of the big problems with bodyweight training is that it's difficult to increase the intensity of it if you don't know techniques like we've talked about now with, for example, partner resistance and with antagonist-resisted training. Those are some of the key techniques you can use to increase the intensity of the training with that. Another big way of increasing the intensity is through exercise modification. And I'm going to give you an example of push-ups. So let's say that it's my goal, or it's the client's goal, to accomplish a one-arm push-up at the end of a macro cycle. And you design a long-term cycle to accomplish that. So if it was a bench press, for example, you'll start with like a lower load and you'll gradually add load throughout whatever kind of system. You can't do that when it's body weight only. So I begin with an easier variation of push-ups. So for example, just regular push-ups could be one. Another one is single arm push-ups kneeling on the knee. You see how the lever between the knee and the hand is much shorter, and it's actually doable. A progression from that is a little closer to the single arm push-ups are variations where as you go down, the weight is shifted to one side. There are two main kinds you can use here. There's one called rolling push-ups or rock climber push-ups sometimes, where you go down on one hand, you move over to the other, and you push up. Rolling push-ups. And this is also a way to work with the strength imbalance, because if let's say your right is weaker, you'll go down on the right to work the eccentrically, over to the left and push back up. Another one is called, probably have different names, but there you just go down on one, back up, down on the other, back up. So see how that's an intermediary between a normal push-up and a single arm push-up. Now we're towards the end of the macro cycle, and we need to start, we can't dance around it anymore, we have to go into the single arm push-up. But we're gonna exploit the fact that we're stronger eccentrically than concentrically. So we'll go so you can do the pattern, but because you're stronger eccentrically, it's doable. And then after that, you can go into down, up, or you can start from the bottom and push up. And then that would be the goal, and after that, you start to add reps. The last type of exercise modification is to go from horizontal to vertical, or from vertical to horizontal. So I'm sure you know this. If it's push-ups, for example, you can start with push-ups with the client leaning on a wall, which would be horizontal. And then as the client gets stronger, you go to vertical, which would be, vertical to horizontal. If it's rows, we know that horizontal is easier than vertical, so you can start horizontal and then gradually go to vertical if it's rows. Push-ups, you can kind of go back to vertical, but then it would be handstand push-ups, which typically is a more challenging variation of the push-up. That was pretty much what I had to say. Thank you. Any questions at the end here?
Good job.
Huh?
Good job on the push-up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
For all of those exercises exercise, the primary goal is to recruit more motivators.
That's the main one of it.
Strength,
Yes.
ultimately.
Or muscle mass. Or muscle mass. Yeah.